The Chapter 1 Learning Objectives Report is a list of all of the questions that were from the Chapter 1 bonus assignment that were most missed by the students this semester. The most missed questions from the assignment are going to be listed in this document as questions underneath specific learning objectives, which you can go back into your textbook and actually look up the section that these questions come from to review more information about the specific questions. So the very first question that is missed on the bonus assignment comes from Learning Objective 1.1, and this specific question deals with the subdisciplines of anatomy. So the question as written says a course of study in which you learn about the bones of the forearm along with the associated blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and nerves would be most appropriately called gross, regional, systemic, or surface anatomy. It is not systemic anatomy, which is probably the most chosen answer, because what it's asking you is to look at the forearm in general. And you're looking at the bones alongside the blood vessels, the lymph vessels, and the nerves in just the forearm. So when you're looking at that question, it's asking you for multiple systems and it's telling you a region. So the most appropriate answer for this question would be regional anatomy. The next most missed question is from Learning Objective 1.2, and that's to describe the structural organization that makes up the body. And this question states cells with a common function form blank, which work together for a special role or function. This question, the very first part of the question is what you need to look at specifically. It says cells with a common function. So that means the same type of cell working in concert. The last part of the sentence says that they work together with a special role or function. So we're talking about the same type of cells working together. That is indicative of the tissue level of organization. If you have the organ level, then you're actually talking about two or more different types of tissues working together. And on the systems level, you're talking about two or more types of organs working together. So this question, because it says cells with a common function work together, it's actually referring to the same type of cell. The next question is very commonly missed on the bonus assignment, and that's from Learning Objective 1.4, and it's about planes and sections. And I think the most missed portion of this question is the difference between mid-sagittal and parasagittal. So when you see an image that's referring to the difference between a mid-sagittal section and a parasagittal section, what you really need to pay attention to is the location of the section in the belly button. So if you look at this image, you'll notice that the front section, there's two lines parallel to each other. One of them runs through the thigh and the lateral side of the belly. The other one runs through the abdomen at the midline and through the belly button and the pubis, and it does not bisect a leg. So that would mean that the leftmost line would be the parasagittal line, and the line that runs through the belly button or navel, that would be the mid-sagittal line. The next two questions are from the same learning objective, which is 1.4, and these are directional terms. Now, it's common for students to miss directional terms at the beginning of the semester because you might not know where the major organs of the body is. It's not that you don't understand what the directional term means, it just might be that you're not familiar enough with the overall anatomy of the body. So the first question, which word describes the location of the kidney with respect to the stomach? Throughout this semester, you're going to learn that there is an abdominal cavity and there is a retroperitoneal cavity, and the kidneys are located in the retroperitoneal space, which is behind or dorsal to the peritoneal space, and the peritoneal space contains the stomach, the small intestine, most of the GI organs. So the most correct answer for this question is dorsal. I think the second most chosen, or the most chosen incorrect answer would be inferior, because if you look at pictures in your textbook, sometimes it will take out the stomach or goes to the stomach so that you can see behind those organs to see the kidneys. And it the lower portions of the kidneys are inferior to the stomach, but the most correct answer would be behind or dorsal. The next question is the word that best describes the position of the gallbladder relative to the ascending colon is contralateral, ipsilateral, inferior, or intermediate. And the most chosen answer on this would be inferior, because I think it is a wording issue. So what you're looking at is the position of the gallbladder relative to the colon. So the gallbladder is actually higher than the ascending colon, or it's slightly medial to the ascending colon, depending upon what part of the colon, the ascending colon you're referring to. Is it closer to the cecum, or is it closer to the hepatic flexure? The most appropriate answer for this question is ipsilateral, because the gallbladder is on the right side, inferior side of the liver, and the ascending colon goes through the peritoneal cavity on the right side. So ipsilateral, meaning same side, would be the most appropriate answer for this question. The next missed question, I think this is the absolute most missed question on Chapter 1 bonus. I think about 30% of the students actually get this one right. And it is very tricky in terms of you have to be able to rotate this image in a three-dimensional plane to really get the answer to this one correct. This comes from Learning Objective 1.5, which is referring to the body cavities and the organs in those body cavities. And it asks, name the two most specific body cavities that would be sectioned if a transverse plane were passed through the umbilicus. So we're referring to the umbilicus, and the umbilicus is in the abdominal cavity. It is superior to the pelvic cavity, and I think this is where most students choose abdominal and pelvic as the answer, and that would be incorrect, because the umbilicus is superior to the pelvic cavity, which is in between your iliac bones, so it's low in the trunk. So if you're passing through the umbilicus in a transverse plane, what you're really doing is you're cutting the body into a top part and a bottom part. That's what the transverse plane means. And the umbilicus is right at the level of your lumbar vertebrae. And your spinal cord ends at the superior border of your lumbar vertebrae number 2. So if you were to cut the body in half into top and bottom, you would actually, of course, transect the abdominal cavity, but you would also cut through the spinal column, which is the vertebral canal. And the last question on this Learning Objective report comes from Learning Objective 1.6, which is to name the abdominal pelvic regions. And I think the most missed question on this has to do with left and rights. When you're looking at an image in an anatomy text and you're looking at the front of the body, you're actually needing to reverse your left and rights so that the right side of the image is actually the left side of that person. The left side of the image is actually the right side of that person. So that is a common error on this drag and drop exercise from Learning Objective 1.6.